Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. My name's Tracy, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make my date squares or date slice, which is predominantly a flapjack. So it's quite an unusual recipe because you have to kind of put the dates on the top of the hob. Now I want to just say, excuse the kitchen, it is very much still under construction. So the walls are not done and the floor's done. So that's at least one good thing. But I've had to shut the window as well because my neighbours have the most loudest strimmer in the world. So it's a bit warm in here. They seem to have stopped, so I might chance opening it. But you need a processor or something like a food processor to make this. It's quite a blitzy recipe. So I'm going to pause the video and just get it set up, and I'm going to show you what we do. Okay, so first off, I think I should just read out the list of the ingredients to you. And I use this app where I store all my recipes on my recipe book app. But this is one that, I don't know if you can see the picture. It's probably not that clear. That's what they look like when they're done. Now, I took that picture, so professional. Anyway, the ingredients then, I will put them in the description box below, but you'll need 400 grams of pitted dates, 240 ml of water, 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence, 200 grams of rolled oats, 130 grams of self-raising flour, 160 grams of soft brown sugar, half a teaspoon of baking soda, quarter a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, which is optional, but Gary always likes heavy cinnamon, so it might be a little bit more than that, and 226 grams of cold unsalted butter. I always use salted, but you can use unsalted, and you need to chop that into cubes. So those are the ingredients. I've just finding my processor blades and getting my saucepan, so I'll just pause the video a second while I get that. So firstly, you preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but I can look that up, or you can look that up with a chart. So you place your dates over a low heat, it has to be a low heat, and you put in the water. And you just keep stirring those, and eventually they'll turn into a paste. That will take roughly about 5 to 10 minutes or so. Once that's happened, it's not yet, not even remotely, we take that off the heat and stir in the vanilla essence, and you let it cool. So while we're waiting for that to cook, into your processor, where am I? I've made this thousands of times, you wouldn't think it, would you? So in the processor you put the oats, the flour, the sugar and the baking soda, salt and cinnamon, and you pulse it to combine them. So I'm going to do that now. It's pretty loud, so I shall pause it for a second. So I'm putting in my oats, just everything in, and in goes my flour. And I don't know if you call that self-raising flour in the rest of the world. I dropped a bit, doesn't matter. Or whether you would call that all purpose, I'm not really sure. So I couldn't get hold of any brown sugar with this lockdown, so I'm using white. Got no choice really. I'm just going to get a teaspoon, and for my baking soda, which is half a teaspoon, I'm just going to judge it if I can get it open. Doesn't seem to want to open. I think it might be, aha, there we go. So just half a teaspoon approximately baking soda going in, and cinnamon. Now Gary does like rather a lot of cinnamon, and it is pretty hard to judge when you've got a pot that has an opening like this, a spoon. So I'm just going to like wang it in, because he does love it, and it's never too much. There's actually never enough normally. A little bit more, just for Gary. So just going to check my ingredients that I've got everything I need in there. So I've got my oats, my flour, my sugar, my baking soda and the cinnamon. So now I have to pop this lid on. They started their strim. I don't know if that's a strimmer. It sounded like a sick animal. So this is where it gets really loud. So I'm going to pause the video while I pull. It might be their horse. I think it is. Not happy, not today. So I'm going to pause the video, and this is a very loud processor, while I pulse that to combine. I've got a little pulse function. Let me see what it's like. Oh, it's not too bad. So I'm just going to pulse that, combine it all together. The actual way it's written down, you would do this sort of after, but the trouble is you'll have made your processor gooey with your dates. So this way around is so much better. So now all my dry ingredients are mixed, and I'm still waiting for this to start to goo up. That's a lovely term, isn't it? Goo up. Sorry about the wall. As I said, we're still decorating, and the walls are far from ready to be done. So it's a little bit rough looking there, but I'm just going to start breaking them apart. They're swallowing the water and becoming squishier, so I'm just going to start squishing them down, see if I can hurry that process along a little bit. Maybe I'll turn it up just a little bit because I've got the window and the doors open. It's really hot in here, so that might be cooling it down a little bit. So I'm just going to keep that going, and I want that to smooth down like a paste. It does become like a kind of a jam, I would say, like a jammy paste. So that's a little way off yet, so I'm going to pause the video. I'm sure you don't want to listen to me small talk all that time, just to get the other ingredients ready, and I shall be back with you in a moment. Okay, so it's cooking along nicely. You can see it's starting to, I let it bubble because I wanted to hurry it along a little bit, but I've turned it down now. So it's not on a high heat, but it is quite common for these dates, once they're cooking, to smell a bit like old socks. So don't be put off by that. They do pong a bit. Not particularly attractive smell, but they taste better than they smell, because believe me, this recipe is seriously good. It's really, really yummy. So just keep stirring it, don't let them stick. Try and encourage them to squish up, and they are starting to slop a little bit in places. That's what you need. Once it will turn into kind of like a big sloppy jam. So I'm just going to continue to do that and let that cook down a little bit and pause the video. But just on a little note, I did manage to find my brown sugar. Now it's too late, but never mind. And I normally use an 8 or 9 inch pan. It needs to be fairly deep to do a flapjack, because they are kind of about, you know, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches high, that kind of thing. Couldn't find that, but I managed to find this heart-shaped pan. So it's spring loaded, and then I know I'll definitely get it out. So I've just greased that, and I'm going to put some flour in there as well. So just like do that until my dates are ready. I'm a little way off yet, so I'll pause the video and come back to you when my dates are nice and squishy. So that's coming along quite good. It's not there yet. There's still some kind of bits of formed dates, so we're almost there. So coming along nicely though. So now I'm going to do the next stage, which is to add my butter. Okay, so I realised I forgot to cube it, so I'm just going to add my butter, which I've now cubed. Excuse fingers, but they are clean. I did wash them all of them. Didn't mean to say wash them all, that's stupid. So you pop that in there, and all nice and cubed up, and I need my towel. Grab my lid. I'm trying not to There we are. It's all on. And now we pulse that until this is like crumbs. So just keep pulsing until it becomes like crumbs. It's going to take a while. And in the meantime, keep an eye on the dates, unless you've done yours ahead of time. Thought this was a lot louder than this. I think it's because before I had that one, I'm just checking on the dates, I used to have a Magimix, and that one was, I think, extremely loud. So they're coming along nicely. As you can see, they are kind of almost out of puree. Not quite, still a few little bits there that are not. So I'm going to leave that on there for a few more minutes while I keep pulsing. Can't see any large bits of butter still left. It's hard to see. Does look like it's crumbed. I think the reason we're pulsing is because we don't want to chop up our oats too much, but you can see now that that's crumbling quite well. I think we're there. Let's have a look. Have a little look through there. And yeah, nice. Any more butter bits? Let's just going to get in there and check it out. Let's make sure. I think that's crumbed quite nicely. All done. So, just going to pop that back on for a minute. Okay, so they are done enough. They're kind of pureed, and we don't need them any more than that because we're going to let the processor do the rest. So now I'm going to add my teaspoon of vanilla essence. And I always spill it in, but a little bit extra doesn't really matter. And stir that in. And we're going to let it cool. So I'm taking it off of there because that remains a little bit residual heat in the meantime. So I'm going to pause the video a second because now I need to get my crumbs out of my processor so my processor will be ready for my dates. And usually I've got there's a smaller bowl that fits in here, and I usually use that, but it's been so long since I've done it I can't figure out which piece goes where, and I will sort it out, but I think it's a little bit a bit of a tall order to do it now. So I'm just going to whiz this up so that it goes into a proper puree. Long because it's more or less on its way. So I'm just going to get the spatula thing and scrape it down just to make sure. Now I haven't let mine cool as much as it should. It does say, I wrote this recipe ages ago, and I would have let it sort of go to room temperature normally before I whizzed it up, but it's not as hot as it looks. I let it cool down quite a bit. Just can't wait forever. So it's just so that you don't break your processor, basically, really. But I think that is almost there. I'll give it one more blast. Just to make sure. So that is done. Now all we do is we get our pan, we split our mixture in half, the crumb mixture, we press half into the bottom, and then we put this layer all over, and then we top it with the other half, and then we're done. So I just need to clear this stuff out the way and get ready for that, and I'll come back to you. Okay, so I've got all my mixture and I'm going to separate it. I don't know why, but there always seems to be less for the topping than there does for the bottom. And if you wanted to put a parchment in your pan, then you can. But this is a fairly new non-stick pan, and I don't think that it will stick. And it's spring-loaded as well, so I'll get the blighter out one way or another. So that's almost as much as I want to put in. Pop that over there. So, oops, sorry about that. Kick in there, you're still going. Just checking that we're still, yep, we're still recording. So just pat it down, basically. Get it into all the areas and pat it down. Parchment would have probably been a good idea, but I would have had to have prepared that beforehand, and I'm not always a preparer. So that's basically all pushed down. You want it kind of nice and firmly, and then we put in our date mixture, which you just, so it's making a sandwich of it really. And I think this might have been a good choice of pan actually for the quantities. I was very limited choice in the supermarket, and the only other pans that they had, I had very similar ones already, and they weren't very what's the word, suitable, that's the word. So I'm just trying to get into the crevices of my processor, get every bit out. I suppose it matters about every single bit. So now pop that over there, and we just sort of spread it down so it's even, getting into the corners where we can. Just splodge it around. Of course, you know, if you don't like dates, you could use something else, and I didn't think that I liked dates and I wouldn't like it, but this is to die for. It's beautiful, and it doesn't really taste like you're eating dates at all, because it is a puree, you know. It's very nice, but I wasn't a fan. My dad used to love those sticky dates that you get. Well, we get them over here at Christmas, and I can't see over that side, so I'm just going to go around this side, and I've got a gap, so push it in. Doesn't matter about that anyway, as long as they're kind of all more or less covered. Don't want anyone shortchanged, do we? With a little bit missing. Can't get it in there. There we go. So that's it. That's all in as much as I can get in. Pop the rest on. Get rid of that. Straighten the washing up. And now we just put our top on exactly the same way, but we don't have to be, as it's not the base, we don't have to have quite as much. But so if you want, if your pan needed more for the base, you could afford to have it. But I like it to be all covered. And sometimes when you use too much in the base, you don't cover the top too well. So that's looking good, nice and good coverage, and a bit more still left, nice and crumbly. So I'm just going to shake the rest in. And now we've got to smooth it down again. Just make it nice and even. You can see a bit of date there, we don't want that. I think I might end up having the devil's of a job getting this out, because I haven't got my usual pan. When I went home and got my stuff, I should have picked that up, shouldn't I? So there we are. That's not too, it's coming through a little bit over there. I don't think I'm going to patch it. So yeah, just squish that down. Now I'm all gooey. And now we're going to bake it. So let me just wash my hands. I'll be back in a second. All nice and clean. So now we just pop it in the oven, and we're going to bake that for about 30 to 40 minutes until it's golden brown, and then we're going to pop it out. So I'm not sure if how much phone I've got left, how much charge, so I might have to show you the finished object on the thumbnail, or if I can, I will come back and just finish it off. But it's really going to depend on my phone. I think it didn't have a great deal of charge, and I had to put the charger in the iPad, so it might just die on me. But I'm going to pause the video, pop that in the oven 30 to 40 minutes, and I will see you when it's out. Possibly. Okay, so that's out the oven now, nice and golden brown. It's absolutely scorching hot, so I'm not going to try and get it out the pan until it's cooled down rather a lot. All of this here isn't burnt, it's just where little bits of the date puree has kind of bubbled up, and it's not burnt, it's nice. So that's it. All we do now is let it cool down, get it out of the pan, and then we can put it in the refrigerator to cool down completely before you cut it into your squares. I'm going to have a tough time cutting it into squares in a heart-shaped pan, but I shall work it out. But normally speaking, it's in a square pan, so it'll just cut into squares at that point, and it's all tickety-boo. So thanks for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and you'll be informed when I've got new videos. I do the odd cooking one now, but mostly they're crochet. If you fancy learning, if you're new to crochet, that's great. So hit the notification bell as well, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye for now.